Hello everyone, this is Abhijit Barai. I'm a consultant in emergency medicine. Over the next few minutes, we are going to talk about PENG block. Pericapsular Nerve Group block is also called a PENG block, which has been developed over the last few years, and this is making a significant improvement in the patient care. Fracture neck of femur is a very common presentation in the emergency department, and we see this all the time. The biggest challenge is control of the pain. At the same time, reduce the side effects of those medications. PENG block makes a huge improvement in those type of cases. If you have not done already, please subscribe to the channel and share with others. Thank you. So, this is a bread and butter case in the emergency department that we see all the time. Here comes a 78-year-old lady, Valda. She was brought in by ambulance following a fall on the bathroom. And of course, it was very sore, so she was complaining of severe pain in the right hip. In fact, her pain score was 10 out of 10. Her vitals are normal. This lady also has got a little history of high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Valda was not on any anticoagulants, and her neurovascular status were normal. We found that the right leg was a bit shortened and X-ray rotated. So we did an X-ray, and this similar type of X-ray was found. This was similar to the X-ray of Valda. As you can see, we have got the right hip here, the left hip is here, and if you follow those lines, you can see that there is a fracture. Now, the specific aspect of this fracture is that this is intracapsular part of the hip joint. As you know, the anterior capsule is attached here, and so anything above it is intracapsular. Why it is important, I will explain in a minute. Please watch till the end of the video to get some more information and some surprises. So that's the X-ray of Valda. So Valda is quite a bit of pain. The ambulance have already given about 10 milligram of morphine. Still, she was screaming in pain. Because of the morphine, Valda was quite delirious. There was quite a bit of smoke screen around her, just like this. And also we noticed that her breathing was a bit suppressed. Her respiratory rate was 10 breaths per minute. There was quite a few research papers which demonstrated that opioid is associated with increased length of stay in the hospital. So as a consultant, my decision was to give the best care for Valda, at the same time to reduce the side effects. We have got a few options. One option, obviously, opioids. For example, we can give morphine, we can give fentanyl. As we demonstrated earlier, that they have got some side effects. They can cause delirium, they can cause confusion, they are associated with prolonged stay in the hospital. They can cause hypoventilation, even respiratory arrest. We've got other option that is a little old school, which is the femoral nerve block or fascia iliaca block. They are two different things, but they have got some advantages. There are certain types of fracture, especially if there is an intertrochanteric fracture or subtrochanteric fracture. I think these nerve blocks can be used. However, when there is an intracapsular fracture, we have got some better options. One of the issue with the femoral nerve block is that it is a blunt tool. We are putting the needle in around the femoral nerve, but this area is not supplied by those by those nerve fibers which we are blocking. And also the block can be a bit variable, especially the coverage. Another disadvantage with the femoral nerve block is that the quadriceps muscle can be weak, paralyzed for a few hours, maybe days. So the mobility post-operatively can be reduced. Now, over the recent few years, we have got some new development in this sector. One of these, some anatomical development. So as you can see, this is the hip joint and this is the anterior capsule. This anterior capsule is responsible for the pain control or pain transmission from the hip joint. It is found recently that those fibers, the nerve fibers which supply the anterior capsule of the hip joint, they lie just here, just superficial to the bone, touching the bone, deep to the muscle, while the femoral nerve is superficial to the iliacus muscle. I will show you some more animations and some pictures to demonstrate this even further. So let's review some of the literature that can help us to get what is the best evidence to support the management of Valda's pain. About 8 years ago, we have got a demonstration of the PENG block or Pericapsular Nerve Group block. Over the next couple of years, there are some case reports and case series. There are some cohort studies as well. In 2021, American College of Emergency Physicians recognized this PENG block. So it was highlighted in emergency medicine ultrasound literature. In 2022, which is just a couple of years ago from now, we have got a few cohort studies, and these studies focused specifically to look for the feasibility. Can we use this this technique in the emergency department, and what is the safety profile? Is it safe for the patient? Is it actually making any positive impact to the patient journey through emergency department? Over the last couple of years, we also found that there are quite a few randomized control trials and protocols. And when there is RCT and cohort studies, we do scoping reviews and systematic reviews. So we have got a couple of systematic reviews and scoping reviews on this topic as well. Till date, we have got about 17 or 18 studies on this PENG block, 14 randomized control trials, and 3 or 4 cohort studies. Let's look at a few of them in a minute. Before we do that, let's recap those anatomical variations. As you can see, this is the left hip joint here, and this is the anterior capsule. Carefully look at those small nerve fibers which are supplying directly to these capsules. These nerve fibers are deep to the iliacus muscle and psoas muscle. However, the femoral nerve and the opioid nerve and the lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh, all of them are superficial to the iliacus muscle. So if there is a fracture here in the intertrochanteric area or subtrochanteric area, or even the shaft of the femur fracture, the femoral nerve block or the fascia iliaca compartment block can be helpful. But if there is a fracture here somewhere in the neck of femur fracture, intracapsular fracture, then we need to target those small fibers, and that is when we need to consider the PENG block. This beautiful picture was from Nysora website. Now they are using a curvilinear probe, and as you can see, there's the skin. We have got some fat, then we have got the fascia lata and fascia iliaca. Medially, we have got the femoral vein, then the femoral artery, and just lateral to the femoral artery, we have got the femoral nerve. Now consider some muscles. So there is a big muscle called the iliacus, and there is a small muscle psoas, and we can see more bright structure which is the psoas tendon. Now carefully look at those nerves which are deep to the iliacus and psoas muscle, and these nerves are just superficial to the bone. When we target the femoral nerve block, we put the needle superficial and deep to the femoral nerve. On the other hand, if we use the fascia iliaca block, we insert the needle somewhere here, about 30 or 40 ml of local anesthetic that can cover femoral nerve, opioid nerve, and lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh. In case of the PENG block, however, we need to insert the needle deep to the muscle, just superficial to the bone. And this is not targeting a single nerve. In fact, this is a group of nerves. That is why it is called Pericapsular Nerve Group block, or in short, PENG block. So one of the biggest advantage of this PENG block is the motor sparing. Especially in postoperative period, it is found that if we use PENG block, patient can mobilize earlier, so there is a shorter length of stay and less complication associated with hospital stay. The other advantage is that in intracapsular fracture neck of femur, this has got an excellent pain control ability. And also, the recent research shows that PENG block is ED friendly. We can use it in the emergency room or emergency departments. So what is the evidence? There is a lot of evidence. The biggest evidence is that PENG block has got better pain control and less opioid requirement. As we know, opioids are associated with various complications, so we can avoid them if we use the PENG block. So this particular randomized control trial was published a couple of years ago from South Australia. Here, the authors performed the PENG block during the hip surgery, and then they reviewed postoperatively to find out what is the pain control from this PENG block. Now, let's focus on this diagram or chart. Along the y-axis, this is a percentage, and along the x-axis, we have got the outcome. Now, one of the question was, do you have any pain at all? If they say no pain, which was found in 63% of the patients in case of the PENG group, while only 30% of the patient in case of the femoral nerve block. In case of the mild pain, both of them are identical. In case of the moderate to severe pain, again, it was much less in case of the PENG block than in case of the femoral nerve block. The biggest difference between the PENG block and the femoral nerve block was demonstrated here. What was the muscle strength? In 60% of the patients in PENG group block, there was excellent muscle strength. However, in case of the femoral nerve block, most patients have got some weakness in the muscle. So that is the biggest difference. But again, in case of the pain control, we found that PENG block was much superior. This is a systematic review published last year, which demonstrated a very important findings. In this systematic review, the authors found 17 studies, 14 randomized control trials, and 3 cohort studies. If you carefully look at it, PENG block was superior in every aspect, whether it is pain control, patient satisfaction, ease of positioning of the patient for spinal anesthesia. The only area PENG block was probably not doing very well is in case of the opioid use. Opioid use was lower in 4 out of 11 studies in case of the PENG block in comparison to the femoral nerve block or fascia iliaca compartment block. 12 out of 7 studies demonstrated that the PENG block was superior in case of the pain control, and 5 out of 7 studies demonstrated that the patient satisfaction was much better in case of the PENG block, and 4 out of 7 studies demonstrated that there was ease of positioning of the patient for spinal anesthesia. This is another randomized control trial which was published last year, and they demonstrated similar findings that PENG block has got much less pain in terms of fracture neck of femur patients in comparison to that of the femoral nerve block or fascia iliaca compartment block. So we have got quite a few other studies, but in summary we can tell that the PENG block is much superior in terms of pain control, in case of the motor sparing, in case of the patient comfort. So let's get back to Valda again. So that was Valda who was screaming in pain even after giving opioids. So we have done an ultrasound. We have used a linear probe because Valda was a lean and thin person. So this is the right side. So we have got the femoral artery here, which is pulsatile. Just lateral to the femoral artery, we have got the femoral nerve. The fascia lata is here, and this is the fascia iliaca here. If you carefully look at it, this big muscle, that is the iliacus muscle, and that's the psoas muscle. This bright structure is the psoas tendon. This is very important, especially when we apply the PENG block. And this bright structure here is the bone. So we have got the anatomy. Now we are getting the needle. We have got a long needle, and this is the tip of the needle. In the ultrasound, as you can see that the needle is going through the iliacus muscle, just touching the bone. Here we have got the needle, and the tip of the needle is touching the bone, just deep to the psoas tendon. And we injected 20 ml of ropivacaine, 0.75%, that is 150 milligram, and that worked really very well. Now, one of the important things in case of the PENG block is that this is a new technique, so there is a lot of scope of credentialing. We need to train the people, train the clinicians so that we can make the best use of it and the safe use of it. We need to regularly do audit, and we need to generate some departmental protocols. Safety of the patient is not non-negotiable, and therefore it's very important that we focus on those governance issues. So here is Valda. Valda had hip surgery, hip replacement, and she is very comfortable at this moment. She found that the PENG block was not a magic, but it significantly helped her in pain control before surgery and after surgery as well. PENG block was elegant, anatomy-based analgesia, which helped Valda a lot, and she is very grateful to this technique. So in summary, we found that PENG block can be very useful. In old days, we had got some techniques like opioids and some nerve blocks which have got some side effects, but nowadays we can use the PENG block because its primary goal is sensory analgesic, and the evidence shows that it is very effective in this technique. It has got motor sparing function which helps in the mobility of the patients, and it specifically targets the pericapsular branch which supply the anterior capsule of the hip joint. Now, the final thought. Many of you perform echocardiography in cardiac arrest. If you can do that, trust me, you can master the PENG block as well. It's super easy, and with some training you can apply this in your patients. You can do it right now. There are a lot of studies, as we have mentioned. There are 14 RCTs already, and quite a few other studies, clinicians and researchers are working on them. These are a few of them. Thank you very much for taking your time. If you have any questions, please ask, and if you have not done already, please subscribe to the channel and share with others. I will see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye for now.